Coming to you from the Spit Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. This is the Spit Sports Show. I hope you guys enjoyed week one almost as much as I did. What a fantastic day of football. Some awesome 10 a.m. game windows with the Jets and the Steelers and the Bucks and the Falcons. And then the 1 p.m. games were really interesting with Green Bay having a fantastic performance and the Rams-Texans game kind of going in a direction that no one really thought it was going to go. The Sunday Nighter was an all-time classic. What a day of football. Spit's picks went 4-1 to start off the year. Great start for the gambling show. But as always, we do on Mondays or Tuesdays, depending on availability of the show and programming, we are going to do our quick NFL recaps where I attempt to give the big takeaways and takes from every NFL game in less than 2 minutes, hopefully. I'm usually pretty decently average at getting it on time, but today I'm going to be thorough, thoughtful, and content with the amount that I get into these small bits of nuggets to recap again the first week of what's set to be just a beautiful NFL season. What a Sunday it was. Starting on Thursday, though, Eagles-Cowboys. My takeaway is the Eagles are not the same roster that they were last year. This secondary looks like it could be an issue. Within the first 5 minutes of the game, it felt like Adoree Jackson was ran off the field by CeeDee Lamb. The Eagles also looked a lot sloppier than I thought they would be coming out of the gate, especially with the continuity that they should have throughout their whole roster. They got out of the huddle late a bunch. They were running on really short play clocks. It actually cost them a timeout at one point. So the Eagles roster is not what I thought it was going to be, but Jalen Hurts is going to be better than I thought he would be. He played a near flawless game on Thursday and was by far the biggest reason the Eagles were able to run away. Well, not run away, but escape with that victory. He made plays with his legs. He made plays with his arm. He took what the defense gave him. He, again, played fantastic. He was the biggest reason they won. On the Dallas side, if Dallas stays healthy, they are going to be the exact same team that they were 2 years ago. Phenomenal passing offense, decent run game that goes off of that passing offense, but their defense is going to be putrid. I thought they did a better job stopping the run than I thought they would, but their pass defense just looked terrible. Every concern that I had about their corners going into the year reared their ugly heads. They jumped too many routes. I thought that they actually did a really good job containing A.J. Brown, obviously, but that was clearly a key point of their defense. But I would understand fans who are more optimistic about Dallas. To me, it's the same thing as 2 years ago where they have a good offense, pretty bad defense, and finish somewhere around 500. Friday night was Chiefs and Chargers. This was just an awesome football game. Justin Herbert played, I kid you not, the best football game of his entire career. That 3rd and 14 scramble to seal the game was probably the best play of his entire career, considering the circumstances and how terribly he's played in big games in years past. Keenan Allen looks like he's a straight godsend for Herbert. Obviously, they have a rapport from his first few years in the league. 3rd down, he's looking for Keenan Allen. He looks like he's still got phenomenal route running, which is all you really need on this Chargers offense. On the Chiefs side, I love what Mahomes did for the majority of this game, taking what the defense gives him. But if Worthy is out for an extended period of time, I really don't see how the Chiefs offense generates big plays. I know that he took a couple shots to Tyquan Thornton, who could come up with only one of them, but this Chiefs offense, for them to succeed, they're going to have to be ahead of the sticks pretty much at all times. And to me, that's not really a sustainable way to run an offensive system. They're the Chiefs. They will be just fine. But I do have concerns about their ability to generate big plays, which is such a big part of today's NFL. Their defense also looked really, really shaky, especially against play action when the Chargers established that they could run the ball against them. Starting on Sunday with the Falcons and the Bucks. This was a really, really interesting game because I thought Atlanta came out of the gates firing. I thought they played better for the majority of the game and probably should have won it, but Baker struggled until he had to not struggle anymore. And when he got his act together and started throwing those dig routes to Mike Evans, and obviously that last pass to Emeka Ibuka was perfect, he clutched up when it mattered the most. And I was really, really impressed with his ability to escape. He made a bunch of plays with his legs, which he's been doing since he's been in Tampa. The Bucks pass rush is a slight concern for me. Penix had a lot of time to survey the field, and when they were able to get pressure on him, they weren't really able to contain him well. Penix isn't the fastest guy in the world, but he made a lot of big plays with his legs today. Speaking of Penix, he looks like he is the guy in Atlanta. Now, I'm not saying that he's a top 10 quarterback right now by any means, but he is the best quarterback Atlanta has had since Matt Ryan. And I'm going to say that with my chest as we sit here today. A couple of those reaches that he had with the ball were just out of this world. Apparently, he's been doing this since college. Not apparently, I'm a U of Washington fan. I've seen this before, but the reach on fourth down to get the fourth and goal, which he reached for it again, just barely got the ball over the line because he put his foot down. The knee didn't touch. What a fantastic, fantastic play. Again, they should have won the game. I think it obviously came down to a last second field goal. Koo missed it. It happens. Falcons defense looked a lot better. I thought their pass rush looked the best it's been in years. I think there's a lot of optimism for Falcons fans, but that's a stinging loss because it's definitely one that they should have came away with. Patriots Raiders. My biggest takeaway is Drake May is not the guy. Now, I understand that might sound hyperbolic considering the offensive line he was playing behind and the lack of weapons that he has. But later in the day, I saw Cam Ward with just as bad of an offensive line going up against a much, much tougher defense. Just looked calm, cool, and collected, even when he was under distress. Drake May, on the other hand, just looked sporadic. He looked like he was trying to get rid of the ball quickly, but to no avail. He was scrambling around when he didn't need to. He wouldn't eat sacks when he should have. On the Raiders side, they are pretty much exactly what I thought they were, with the exception of their linebackers, I think might be a bit better than we thought coming into this season. They looked like they were flying around for a lot of that game. That was a pretty cool game to watch. Another win for Spitz Picks on that one. Panthers, Jags, another quarterback takeaway. Bryce Young is not the guy. He just looks so small when he's back there in the pocket. And I know that's not the be all end all, but not being able to constantly see over your own offensive and defensive linemen, it's just a crucial part of playing quarterback. And he's not quite athletic enough to get in throwing lanes where he can be all time efficient and accurate, which is what he does. He doesn't necessarily have a big arm either. Listen, I think he's a good kid and he could be a starter for sure. But in terms of a franchise quarterback who you're going to lead teams into the playoffs with, he's just not that guy. The Jags looked fine. I wasn't impressed with really much that they did, except for the fact that they won the game. Travis Hunter, kind of a slow start, but you definitely saw some of the explosiveness that we saw in college. I think the Jags are what we thought they were. I think the Panthers are what we thought they were, with the exception of the fact Bryce Young isn't the guy. Steelers, Jets. Maybe Achilles tendons popping are a 2-year injury. Like, Kirk Cousins looked like garbage his first year back from the Achilles. Rodgers looked like garbage his first year back. But in his second year back, first game out, he looked like MVP Aaron Rodgers again. And what I was most impressed with him is he looked comfortable in an extremely uncomfortable environment. I didn't think his O-line played particularly well, and they still put up, 40 points. I still do think that this offense is incredibly shallow when it comes to their depth chart. I think they're one DK Metcalf injury away, knock on wood, from being a bottom 10 defense in the NFL. Not bottom 10, bottom 10 offense, I mean. But for now, looked phenomenal. Rodgers played the best game he's played in 3 years at least. Very, very impressive stuff. And I was very impressed with the Jets the entire game. They looked inspired. Justin Fields played the single best game of his life. Garrett Wilson looked reinvigorated. I thought their run game was a lot better than I thought it would be this year. Breece Hall specifically, I don't know what got into that guy. I heard nothing but negative things coming out of training camp about him, but I mean, he just ran through everybody. He looked like Breece Hall from his rookie year. I think Aaron Glenn will be very impressed with this team's performance, even with the loss. They were one Jalen Ramsey play away from winning that game. Dolphins Colts, the Dolphins are cooked. They're probably going to get the first overall pick. There are no good vibes happening on this team. Tyreek Hill was yelling at his assistant coach and receivers coach 10 minutes into the game. There is just nothing positive happening right now with the Miami Dolphins. I think Mike McDaniels has proven that he is the opposite of a culture setter. He's going to be a great OC for the rest of his life, but that's probably about it when he gets fired in 6 weeks. And the Colts still suck. I don't care about the 33-8 spanking that they just gave. Props to you, but you'd literally just beat a dead carcass to me. I think Daniel Jones still stinks. The offensive line for the Colts was the story of the game. They were able to really do what they wanted at the line of scrimmage. Overall, though, the Colts are still one of the worst teams in the league. Cardinals Saints. Again, a quarterback take, which is going to sound mean, but Kyler is not the guy. I understand that he is a guy. But this goes back to one of my biggest pet peeves about sports franchises, which is, what are you really trying to do here? Are you trying to win a Super Bowl? Are you trying to rebuild to win a Super Bowl? Are you trying to be the best team possible? Because if so, Kyler Murray cannot be your quarterback. He's not efficient enough to lead you into the playoffs. He's not athletic enough. Well, he's very athletic. I take that back. But he's not exactly athletic quarterback enough to create room for himself to get balls down the field. Arizona did everything they could to lose that game against a really, 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 really bad Saints team. Kyler, I thought, made some terrible decisions, especially when he left the pocket. He's not good enough to win a Super Bowl. So if he's not, then you should probably be looking for a new quarterback. Commanders Giants. Russell Wilson is one of the most interesting stories to me in sports right now. And I think a lot is going to come out about him after he retires, about how his interpersonal relationships off the field have affected his on-field performance, because he was on a genuine Hall of Fame arc. And ever since he went to the Broncos, he has disqualified himself from the Hall of Fame. I thought both of these teams played very similar, actually. Washington's defense impressed me. But in the end, it was Jaden Daniels and his ability to make plays that was really the only deciding factor in this game. And he didn't have his A game. He missed Terry on a deep ball. He missed a couple little short ones. But overall, he just mightily outplayed Russell Wilson. That was enough for them to get the win. Bengals Browns. For the Bengals, just be happy you got the win. Like, Burrow always struggles against the Browns, and he always struggles early in the season. Put those two things together, and you get something like what we saw. I still think, though, that the Bengals O-line is a much bigger problem than the general media believes. Those Browns, led by Myles Garrett, obviously, they were hounding Burrow, especially in the second half. I think this O-line is going to be the story of the season, not the defense. 49ers and Seahawks. These injuries for the 49ers franchise are becoming genuinely unbelievable. I thought Purdy showed a lot of heart. I thought this was one of the best games that he's had in his career. Williams, Kittle, obviously Ayuk's still out. Like, they had a bunch of injuries before and during this game, and he was still able to fight. I thought his game-winning touchdown was a little bit fluky, but the guy caught it. There's nothing you can criticize about it. On Seattle's side, I thought Darnold looked like he never really had full control of the offense. I thought that Tariq Woolen, or Reek Woolen now, played one of the worst games for a star corner that I can remember. He just got burned every time I looked up at my television screen. And again, overall with this offense, besides Jackson Smith and Jigba, before this season, I was asking who is going to be able to make consistent plays on second and third down for this offense. The answer yesterday was nobody. Darnold, again, looked lost for stretches. Not a good performance by the Seahawks. Niners take that one. Titans Broncos. Can we finally stop this Broncos sleeper Super Bowl pick madness? This is getting insane. Besides Cortland Sutton, they don't have a big playmaker at receiver or tight end. RJ Harvey looks like he's the real deal, so that's exciting. But again, that's not a weapon. Bo Nix played like he was a rookie in his first game of his second year. He was just flat out garbage for the majority of the game. One interception in particular, it was kind of like Tua's interception, his to the linebacker, where it's just like you threw it straight to him. Like, that's the worst kind of interception. There's just no chance the guy can drop that. You're gifting it to him in a basket. Cam Ward, like I mentioned before, looked really, really impressive. I thought he looked composed. I thought he took what the defense gave him, wasn't forcing much. Him and Calvin Ridley look like they have a bit of a rapport going. Good things coming out of the Titans camp. I think they will be frisky this year. Green Bay, Detroit. This one sucked. This was just a flat out line of scrimmage ass kicking on both sides of the ball. Detroit's offensive line does not look anything like they did the past 2 years. Green Bay's defensive line looks awesome. Micah really only was used sparingly in this game, and yet every time he was used, he created something. Penei Sewell had maybe the worst game I've ever seen him play in his life, and Green Bay's offense just looked smooth as ever. Great combination of run and pass. They were able to find their run game in the second half. Jordan Love was awesome on third down in the first half. They converted in the red zone. Green Bay just flatly kicked Detroit's ass. And Detroit's got a lot of work to do if they're going to be a perennial Super Bowl contender like a lot of people think they're going to be this year. Texans Rams, this was to me a Sean McVay masterclass. I know that the Rams only scored 14 points and he's the one in charge of the offensive side of the ball, but both offenses were just sputtering throughout this game. Houston's offensive line is just as bad as we thought they were going to be, but at the end of the game, the Rams fumble, Houston gets a chance to come back, they fumble, the Rams can run out the clock with 1 first down, and McVay has the foresight and bravado to put the ball in Matthew Stafford's hands instead of running it, kills the game, put the ball in his hands, game over. It was really, really cool to see. And then Ravens-Bills. I don't even know where to start. Lamar Jackson is the closest thing in any sport I've ever seen to a video game character. It's just crazy how complete of a player this guy is for how athletic and how agile he is as a runner. And then you have literal Superman on the other side in Josh Allen, who, again, for being that big and that powerful and that fast, he's just so patient, and his decision making has gotten so good. Both of these guys' decision making has gotten so good, like they barely throw incompletions anymore. It was an all-time classic, but that Ravens loss is going to sting for them emotionally, and I think it's a really bad omen for the rest of the season. You lose in horrific fashion, up 15 in the fourth quarter to the team that sent you home last year. When the only issue for your franchise has been your ability to win big games, losing a big game like that to a team who you wanted to get licked back on, there is no way that that is going to be a good thing for the Ravens' confidence when they go into the playoffs against the Chiefs or the Bills or any of these top-tier AFC squads. I think it might be something that sticks in their craw a little bit for the rest of the season, which is not good. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, I want to know, what were your takeaways from week 1 of the NFL season? Did you enjoy it as much as I did? Let me know in the comments below. I'm small enough as to where I can read all comments and love doing so drop something down there. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed what you heard. Please subscribe if you really enjoyed it. The Spit Sports Show just hit over 400 subscribers. Big things happening on this channel. And I will see you all for Spit's Picks in a couple of days. Again, 4-1. We're off to a blazing start. And I'll see you all then. Peace out. Love you guys.